couple of books, and lots of web media and other places. This is a little bit about me. And if you want to follow me on my social media, you can follow me either on Instagram or maybe on a Facebook or a Twitter. Wherever you want to find me, just use with Manish, WITH MANISH, and probably that's the only with Manish account is there on those social media, and you can follow me out there. Thank you. So as a daughter, we really believe in live life twice over, and we are established since 2011, and we do lots of photography workshop and travel workshop, and we have a a good team of passionate photographers and few mentors who lead those trips. And we generally have a travel and photography workshop polar to polar, poles to poles. So basically we travel on both the side of poles and lots of other places doing wildlife. Sriram especially is looking for the wildlife. Me, Arun, and a couple of other people, they are into a landscape travel documentary. Yes. So first encounter with the Zanskar. So it was a little interesting. I used to take a flight from Delhi to Leh, and whenever I see on the left hand side, I see two very huge tall mountains around, and I always wondering what are those mountains. And it took me decent couple of years to figure it out, what are those mountains. And finally I could figure it out. They are one 7,000 plus peak. One is a Noon and another is Kun. So you can see that here on the left hand side is a Noon, which is 7,135 meter height, and the Kun is 7,077 meter. They are the tallest peak in that region of Himalayas. Basically, these two mountains are not part of Zanskar, but they are into a Suru valley, which is adjoining to the Zanskar valley. So I always wonder how to reach there. So, and by the time I started doing Chadar trek, and I never got a chance to visit those places because these places are really cut off during winter season, because in this area sometime you'll find snowfall. It's happening like 20 feet to 30 feet around, so there is no chance where I can go there. So later when I started traveling full time, so one day I decided to go and explore this place by road. So let's go through it. So this is my first experience before I started taking people along with me. So me and another friend of mine, who was my guide, who was my driver, we set off, like we were discussing how to go there on this road, because there are lots of challenges in terms of logistics, because there is a taxi union problem where I cannot take lay vehicle beyond Kargil if you want to travel Zanskar. If I reach Kargil, then I have to take another vehicle, and I can reach only up to Zanskar, and from there I have to take another vehicle. So everything was like economy wise also, it was too expensive for me. So finally we decided to get personal vehicle where there is no restriction like that. So me and friend of mine set up for first exploration in this area. And so we put everything like our camping equipments, then our cooking equipments and everything, and we set off. So I was so happy to see first campsite. That's like Noon and Kun is there. So I was looking Noon and Kun. If you'll go in previous picture, you see the Noon and Kun. So Noon is actually right hand side and Kun is on the left hand side. So when you flying from Delhi to Leh, it is on the back side of that. So you always confuse which peak is what. And we asked local people out that they were not, they had absolutely no idea about the name of those peaks. So like we were like confused for a long time. Finally we found one another army guy who was crossing the road. We asked them and we figured out which one is Noon and which one is Kun. So I was so happy to see this first campsite. Early morning was really nice. So this was our first trip. We started somewhere in middle of the monsoon. So while going there, we started from Leh. So Leh to Kargil road was really nice. After Kargil, you drive around 30, 40 kilometers, road is good. Afterwards, you can see what kind of a roads were there. And me and my friend used to cook on the road like this. We had some very old sumo. Probably like only two people can sit on the front. Rest of the things were, really empty and like really a junkyard kind of a stuff. Yes, you can see, because of the rain and everything, the roads are blocked, and after almost 6 years, roads are still same. There is absolutely no change into it. Yes, this is the road you can see. So this is how we were traveling, and still we are traveling whenever we go out there in Zanskar. We travel on such roads. It's really a good adventure to travel there. And this was the first glimpse of Dranglu Glacier, and I was so disappointed because I could not see the famous S. Generally, it's like look at it. It looks like really a beautiful S kind of a shape when you just in front of the glacier. So like first day it was too cloudy. I could not see much of them. So I was really disappointed. We reached there say around 2:33. So this was the situation out there. So I was I was really disappointed. Then like in evening, that evening, like the sky got really neat and clean. And finally I could shot some Milky Way and moonshot with the glacier and my tent. I think probably I was the first person who stayed there and take these pictures. So there was a little story when I was talking about putting my tent just in front of the glacier. My guide told me that, boss, you are not doing the right job, because it was around 2:30. The place was really quiet and there was absolutely no wind. By the time it approached around 5:30, the place was becoming too windy, and holding my tent on that place was becoming a big challenge. So finally, two of us, tried really hard, got some big stones and everything. We put everything really nice, and I was so happy that my tent is not going to go away. So my friend, he thought I might be taking some pictures and come back. So he already found for himself, very good place where the wind was not coming at all close to him. So he found really a big stone, and he just here put his tent and everything around there. So he was safe, and he thought I'll go back. But I decided to stay there because I wanted to shoot at night, because the Milky Way and how the glacier looks like, what kind of a glacier view will be there at the night in the moonlight. So I did not come. And he was surprised, he came twice at night to see me that whether I'm safe or not, whether I'm there with my tent or not. Finally I was there. So this is what I did, because I was so happy to see that, because and he himself was hiding behind this stone so he can protect himself from the wind. Yes, this was the road condition during, when we made this trip for the first time by road. And absolutely road conditions are still same. There is absolutely no change into it. So if you are wanted to go there in this region, just make sure mentally the roads are not going to be nice at all. So at end of the trip, we explored lots of places. We climbed around here and there to find out the right location for pictures and everything. End of the trip, like after 1 week, me and my friend, we literally fighting like this while we back on the lake. So now we'll talk about there are different approaches to reach in Zanskar region. So let's see one by one. So first of all, where is Zanskar? So we'll see on the Google map, and we'll see where is the Zanskar, or there's some geographical information and how we can reach there. So Zanskar is the southwest of Leh. It is a western part of Kargil region, and it's a part of there's a Tehsil of Kargil district, and now it's a UT, but it's still part of Kargil. And civilization got established in Zanskar region some 200 years before the Christ's birth. So it's very old civilization in that area, and the total area of Zanskar is touching around 7,000 square kilometers. And Padum is a capital of Zanskar region. So whatever administrative work till today, it's happening from Padum. And this region is totally cut off almost like 4 to 5 months in a year, because all the passes coming, this road going through Padum are closed because of this heavy snowfall on the passes. And the snowfall is quite huge, because sometimes those areas get like 20 to 30 feet of snowfall. So when we talk about Zanskar, the average elevation is between 3,500 meters to 7,135 meters. So the highest peak is some 7,135 meters. And Zanskar is, anyways, I told you, is a part of Kargil district. So main river, the region name came from the river called Zanskar, or you can say the river, it moved, it just came out from that region. It named after that area. The Zanskar River comes from Penzilla, which is a Drungrun Glacier, the base of young Drungrun Glacier. That's where it starts, and it has two tributaries. One is coming all the way from Singola. From there, the road is coming from Himachal now. So probably there will be a third road entry to this region. And there is another river which is a tributary to Zanskar River, which comes from Baralachala in Himachal Pradesh in the Lahore district. So basically, Zanskar meets. All of you must have seen, if whomsoever has visited Ladakh, all of us know that there is a point called Sangam where you will see Zanskar River is coming from the western part and it meets the Indus, and it flows all the way towards Pakistan, and then it meets to the ocean. So Suru River is also, its origin is close to the glacier. There is a left-hand side glacier. If you are just, face your glacier, left-hand side is a Zanskar River, and the right-hand side river goes to, from the Penzilla is Suru River. And basically the area which is from the Penzilla is a place which is dividing between Zanskar and the Suru River, Suru Valley. So before Penzilla region comes in Zanskar. So when we talk about, approach to the Zanskar, so there are right now two approaches are there by the road. So one is all the way, driving from Leh to Padum. The distance between these two places is around 450 kilometers. And so you have to start from the Leh, you come to the Kargil, which is towards Srinagar road. And from there you take left and you straight drive towards the western side, and you'll reach Padum. Before reaching there, if you'll start from Leh, you have a couple of known places comes on the road. First is Zanskar Indus Sangam Point. It's just outside of Leh. Then you'll come across with the beautiful old monastery, a 1300 years old monastery. That's the Lamayuri monastery. Then there are two passes are there. One is Fotula, that's 4100 meter high, and there is a Namikla, that is 3700 meters high. And then you reach to the Kargil. And once you start travel towards Zanskar, from a Kargil, you will come to the beautiful grass meadow. It's a Rangdum monastery. That's the region is known as a Rangdum. And after that, you will cross a Penzilla, and then you drive towards Padum from there. That's one of the traditional road from Leh to Padum. So there is an alternate road. If you don't want to travel from Leh, you definitely can make another move from Srinagar. So here you go. When we talk about Srinagar, so you start from the Srinagar, then you come across with Sonmarg, which is 2800 meters of high, and which is one of the known hill station. Then from Sonmarg, you can travel all the way to Zojila, which is 3528 meter. Once you cross that, you reach Kargil crossing Dras. Dras is known as one of the coldest places in that region. And the same way, once you reach Kargil, you have to take the same road, and you are reaching, you are crossing Rangdum, Penzilla, and you are reaching Padum. So that's the second route. So third route is almost like, it's ready to go. It was supposed to operational last year, but a couple of places, the bridges were still, yet to build. So most likely they'll start this year. So that's coming all the way from Manali. So you cross the Manali, then you cross the Rohtang Pass, which is almost 4000 meter height. From there, you reach Darcha. And from Darcha, rather than coming towards Leh, you should travel towards the Singola. Singola used to be the pass, and people used to track around, but now road is crossing that place. And from there, you can enter to Padum. And this will save almost 600 kilometers of distance, if you want to reach Zanskar. So you really can bypass road all the way going to Leh and Kargil, and maybe a Srinagar, Kargil and Padum. So you really can cross from Darcha and reach Padum. So that would be the third one. I'm not sure whether that road will be open in winter or not, but summer, yes, you can. And lots of people, they already started traveling, like mostly who are on the bikes, and during the end of the season when water is really, really less, people are crossing those places where, bridges needs to be built. And the third approach, which is possible only in winter, And that's I also call, most of the people, they call this a winter highway. It's Chadar track, and it's approximately 90 kilometers of distance. It's a place called Chilling, and from there you walk all the way on the semi-frozen river. And first once you cross it, one of the famous waterfall where most of the people you'll see going, you're taking the pictures close to the Nirek. From there you reach to the place called Sarakdo. From there you can cross like couple of villages on the way. It's known as Hanumil and Pisu, and then you reach place called Zangla. Zangla used to be, it's a small kingdom once upon a time, which was under Padum. So, so there are three traditional tracks actually. One is all the way you can walk on the river and can reach. There is a monastery called I just forgot the monastery name, Linshed. So you can go Linshed. That's another traditional. People used to go for, religious activities. They used to travel to that monastery during winter months. And that place was cut off completely during winter. Then Chadar was the only way to commute with outside world. But now road is also, going along the Linshed monastery. So in summer months, it's easy to travel. Earlier days, it used to be only trekking. Then the second route, people go up to Zangla, and third one, you can reach all the way up to Padum. So that's a traditional route, which almost like 90 kilometers. And, there is only one way entry, same way exit. So it used to be like, 180 kilometers kind of thing earlier days. Nowadays, people are going a couple of days on Chadar and they finish it off. So we'll go, and we'll have a visual treat. I'll try to give you a visual treat about all the locations and those things. So, yeah, some important monasteries, because this area is completely Buddhist. So there is monasteries are there. One is the Karsha monastery, the Fuktal monastery. Fuktal monastery is really nice monastery. Earlier that place used to be, it's only accessible through a trekking, but now road is also there. So you have to trek only half a day to reach there, and probably another year or so, the road will be there all the way to Fuktal Gompa, which is really nice. The Gompa settled on a cliff. So if you are, going towards that area in flowering season, the wildflowers are there during the June, July. So it looks really, really nice. Then another Gyampa is Linshed, which is close to on the Chadar trek. It's close by Chadar trek. Then there is another couple of monasteries are there. So the two monasteries are not there in Zanskar region. One is a Mulbek Gompa. You must have noticed that when you are traveling from Leh to Srinagar, you will come across with Mulbek. There is a 9-meter high statue is there. So that's not in the Zanskar region, but the statue and the monastery belongs to Zanskar region. Same way with Rangdum Gompa. Rangdum area is not part of Zanskar, but the monastery is a part of Zanskar monastery region. So we'll have some visual travel from Route 1, which is Srinagar to Kargil. So let's go through some pictures. So if you are reaching Srinagar, one must, spend a couple of days, because it's a beautiful valley. And what people say, that place could be the heaven on the earth. That's 100% right. So if you are there early there in that region, so make sure, you spend a couple of days on traveling on Dal lakes, and some, lots of different gardens are around there. So if you have a time, you should spend some time out there. So early morning on Dal Lake is generally it's full of activity, but the morning are really, really surreal and peaceful. So one should spend some time on the lake during the early morning time. Definitely, if you are there, you must take shikara. So this is early morning. One is like, one shikara guy is waiting for customers, and second is like evening when, things were settled down. So there is another unique thing when you are in Srinagar. You make sure there's a vegetable market which heads in between the lake. So if you can, like, you have to wake up around 4 o'clock. You have to book your shikara well before or day before advance. So people will take you on this particular place on the ride. And it's so amazing to see each and every, including fruits, flowers, and vegetables. They have a market out there. Most of the people who are operating houseboats, they buy those things from them. It's an amazing experience because there is absolutely no motorboats are allowed on Dal Lake. So whatever it is there, all of them are the wooden boats or shikaraj. So if you are there, if you're spending some time, wake up early and make sure you go and experience this market. Yes, and it's like it's still tree line. So whenever you start traveling towards Sonamar, you'll come across with lush green valleys, and these are the fishermen. They must be having fishing time, or maybe they are coming back. So you'll come across with them in the smaller river, small rivers around Srinagar, and definitely if a monsoon, it's an amazing experience to see going through the clouds. Yeah, so if you want to reach Kargil, you have to cross the pass called Zuzila, which is one of the notorious pass. If you are in really an early season, you can see, the snow is piled up on the road, both the side, 30, 40 feet kind of thing. So generally the road opens really, really early, and army makes sure the road is open. So if you want to travel on this road, make sure you travel early in the season, maybe around mid-May or May, the end of the May, as soon as your, road is open. You will come across with amazing snow everywhere, and that landscape is so beautiful. So make sure if you are traveling early, you travel from Srinagar, and you experience this kind of roads. Yes. So here also you'll find some nomads. They are not the nomads, but they're known as a Bakawal. Bakarwal, they have a sheep and goats. They are getting them all the way from Jammu region, or maybe sometime on the Himachal Pradesh. They cross the passes. They come over on this side during the summer months. They have their own horses uh, and some animals where they put their load and everything. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with them while traveling towards Kargil. They are amazing people. They are really strong people, and they are Muslims basically. And you can see the feature and everything is completely different than what you see with the other nomads like Changpa and other people. So if you just cross them, make sure you meet them, spend some time with them. So these are the landscape which you cross through once you start traveling, get down from the Zojila and start traveling towards Darcha. So these are the tents, where these Bakawal people stay, and they take their animals like goat and sheep, and sometimes some horses also. They take them around. It's really a lush green, and the small patches of snow that landscape makes really, really, really amazing. So these are the horses. Some water is going on, and the river what you see close to the uh, Zozila Pass. That's a Dras River. Yes, you will come across with a small village called Mithian, where you can find some kids. They are, playing around on the roads. So when I was cycling, I crossed this place also. So I cycled across India. Then Srinagar to Leh was, I used this road also, and I traveled on this road few times by road also. So yes, you will find, lots of green fields and some mustard fields where kids are sitting around. That area is still lush green because once you descend down from Zozila, you generally come down like almost 600-700 meters height, and Kargil is around 2,800 meters high. So you really get down some 700 meters, so that area starts becoming lush green. This is what you find. The left hand side picture is the place that's Dras, and right hand side is with some local fields with the barley and everything. Yes, and finally you reach to the Kargil. That's the one end, because Kargil is the point whether you travel from Srinagar or you are traveling from Leh. You have to reach Kargil to enter into the Zanskar. So now we'll start from Leh. So we'll get idea what kind of a landscape you get, because Srinagar is a lush green area. It's a valley area. So most of the time, except Zozila, you are in a lush green area till the way you reach Kargil. And Leh is other way around. So let's have some visuals through Leh now. So if you are flying, then definitely one should not forget to take a window seat. Make sure you sit in the front. that really helps, because if you are sitting on the backside, so the engines are there, and which gives lots of thermal the effect, which you look, sometimes your images will not be sharp. So make sure you sit in the front. You are not coming even on the wings. So first couple of rows are really nice to sit and get this kind of images. So a left hand side picture with lots of layers, which I took it from Delhi to Leh flight, where it was on the low, it was flying through the lower Himalayas. And the right hand side picture, I took it in the winter, where I was just flying out from Leh to Delhi. So the Indus River was completely frozen by that time, and because of the clear sky and everything, there was no clouds in the sky, so it was really looking blue, because the reflection was coming on the frozen ice. And I was lucky enough, there was no snowfall was happening for last 15 days, so the upper layer of river was really neat and clean, so that was giving really a blue kind of reflection. And if you are traveling by road, that's a different adventure, and it's very difficult for me to cover it up here on the visuals. So we are not going through Manali Leh road visuals. So we'll start going towards Leh to Kargil now. So definitely, if you are in a Leh, if you are traveling from that area by flight, make sure you are taking little rest, because you have to acclimatize. 3,500-meter high is a high altitude. So if you are there in a Leh, there is nothing wrong traveling around, taking some pictures. So if you are early riser, you will see beautiful sunrise over the Stoke Kangri, which is the highest peak in that region. The height of that peak is around 6,180, roughly approximately 6,200 meters. And that's the trekking peak. So if you want to track that peak, if you are well acclimatized, you can finish it off in 8 to 10 days. And the strong people can finish it off quickly. But unfortunately, because of heavy tourist rush towards this peak, now the peak is closed for a couple of years by government. And definitely, if you are there, you should go and visit Shanti Stupa, and that evening looks really nice from there. So this is a Semo Gompa, which is the center of the Leh city, and which was built close to the Leh Palace in celebration of the victory. Yeah, and once you are good acclimatized, you should take an early morning ride. Beautiful roads. This is close to the magnetic hill. You can, it looks really nice if you cross this place in early morning, because rest of the place under shadow, and you can see the mountains are really glittering well. You come across a couple of beautiful places. Then one of them is the Lamayuru. So Lamayuru, you can, the place is known, right hand side picture, which is, it's a place is known as a moonland. So if you are there, spend some good time around there. If you are crossing in the evening, and if you're on the other side, before, Fortula, you can say, get beautiful, shadows and those things. So never miss this opportunities whenever it's possible. This is what it looks like during the monsoon season. So I crossed this place in monsoons few times, and this is how it looks like, because those barley fields and mustard fields look really nice, and clouds creating beautiful shadows on it. So I took an old road to reach on this place, so which is already it's non-operational, but I decided to walk up and for the pictures and everything. So if you have a time, you really can walk up there, and you can get an aerial view of monastery. And I insist that if you can spend some time during the sunset, the place looks really nice. Yes, the road is amazing. So once you reach at Fortula, if you look back, you can see lots of switchback and hairpin bands kind of road around there, and the entire land is completely barren, which gives you an idea. You are already in a cool desert, and some places in between it, those are like oases. So that makes your landscape so beautiful if you are traveling somewhere June, July, August kind of thing. So make sure you look back and see, this kind of a switchback roads and everything, which makes your picture so amazing. You can couple of more examples on the road. So if we talk about the road condition, all the way from Leh to Kargil, it's fantastic. It's really like a super express highway, which really nice. And we talk about Srinagar to Leh, the road close to Zojila Pass is really not good because of heavy snowfall and other things. It's really, really difficult to maintain that place. So whenever you go there, it's going to find the same kind of a road because of either because of the melted snow, which, makes mud and everything everywhere. So if you're in a monsoon season, sometimes that place takes like, 3 to 4 hours to cross. Yes, you can find beautiful, mustard field and uh, this barley fields around. So don't miss this kind of opportunities if you're traveling that season. This is what you come across when you are traveling from Leh to Kargil. There are lots of beautiful villages, on the road. So take as much as, break you can. Definitely, you'll get, even if you're not a photographer, you really love that area because the entire, barren land comes really, really nice with the green and, yellow patches of barley and mustard field. River looks really nice. The river, which is what we are seeing as the Indus River. Yes, if you are just, off, you do little off-road, you go and, side. There are a couple of villages which is inside on the road. And definitely, these are the places which one should really go and explore it. Because during a monsoon season, June, July, it's a harvest, their time for, the barley and the rose mustard. That really, really looks nice. If you are having a rain, don't worry because rain makes that area is really, really nice. So if you get opportunity, if you are in that region, make sure you travel in this area. Yes, after crossing some beautiful villages and everything, you can back to the main point, which is Kargil. And the Kargil is known because of it's one of the biggest place for army and lots of other activities. So there are lots of hotels and other places where you can go and find your accommodation. After that, if you are traveling towards Zanskar, you are your own because unless if you have your own vehicle or maybe you can hire a vehicle from Kargil and can reach Zanskar, but there are no places, no hotels there to stay. So if you want to stay anywhere on the road, unless and otherwise you are not fully equipped in terms of camping and food and everything, don't do that because once you leave Kargil, you hardly see a human being on the road. If your vehicles are not correct, if something goes wrong, you will not find anyone who can repair your vehicle. Even the getting, your puncture getting right is not possible. So just be careful if you are planning your trip towards it. So once we are at Kargil, you can spend a night out there, and definitely you can, start your journey next day. So start early morning. So when you start traveling towards Zanskar, first you come across with Suru Valley, and then you enter into, after Penzila, you enter into Zanskar Valley. So let's go through it. And the being a Kargil at 2800 meters high, it's really, really, it's not that hot and not cool also, but same time it looks like, you are in some kind of alpine kind of a place, which is really nice, cool and, lush green area. And you will find lots of wildflowers there if you are in the season. And every season, if you are in maybe in June, July, it looks completely different. If you are in a winter, that area looks different because winter also, in Kargil and other places, you'll find 4 to 5 feet kind of a snow around. And yes, if you're in autumn, that color looks completely different. So I insist if you travel multiple times in this region, would be great. So this is what you come across because that area, as soon as you go out of Kargil and couple of kilometers, you'll see the river. And basically you are driving along with the river, which river known as the Suru River. And because of the Suru River, the area is known as Suru Valley. That area is full of wild roses. If you're in the season, it looks really, really nice. So really can make, beautiful pictures. You can, even if you're not a photographer, still you can enjoy the place and the drive. So there are, there's 2 pictures which I made in June or July when I was traveling with a group. Yes, there were lots of, wildflowers everywhere. This was my first glimpse of early morning shot of Coon, which was It must be around 6:37 in the morning. This is how it looks like. So this is my first campsite where we generally camp around. So there are different puddles around and some portion of the river water which is flowing through, but at sometimes you don't see water is moving around, which gives you beautiful reflections. And if you are lucky, yes, you'll get amazing colors the way you see on the left hand side. Both the pictures are taken at a different time, but this will give you an idea what kind of a colors and reflection you can get if you are traveling in this region with your own camping gears. Because generally I prefer when I'm doing a landscape photography, I wanted to make sure I am close to the location, so I'm not wasting my time to early morning to rush towards that place and find some location. Sometime you have to wake up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock if you are really staying far away from the place. So make sure if you are in this region, you are camping in this area. So these camping locations are little difficult to find, even they are maybe close to the road, but unless and otherwise somebody has already seen this place, you will not be able to find those places. So it's a little difficult in terms of finding this location. So but yeah, if you have extra time, make sure you travel around and you put your camps and everything, and I'm sure you will not regret it. So this is left hand side and right hand side, both pictures from a different time, but it's a morning shots. And yes, I really would like to put my tents here. You will come to know why I'm putting my tent close to the water on the. And now a couple of next pictures, because this area, if you are traveling, and this area is a rain shadow area actually, so the sky is most of the time is clear, and because you are almost 3,000 meter high from the sea level, so the pollution of the air is really less. So that's where you can see sky is really neat and clean, and lots of stars around. Even you can see a Milky Way with the naked eyes. But definitely you need some extra care when you're shooting them with your camera. So that thing will either will take it up during the question and answer session, or maybe when I finish the talk, I'll talk about those things. So this is the first campsite where generally I go and camp. This is what I was talking about. When generally when I'm shooting Milky, I really would like to have no light pollution around me. So I'm against with the when somebody is doing some work close to the city and everything, which I really don't like it, because I can see lots of light pollution around. So if you can find the right kind of a photo, you must have seen on the previous. So on the right hand side place, you can see the reflections and everything. And if at night, you really can see beautiful reflections in the water. You can see the stars because the water is really steady. And you can see on the middle picture also, the tent is reflection is so nice in the water. This kind of a pictures, it's really eye pleasing, rather than shooting something very random in the city kind of thing. And yes, if there is no water, you can find a small bush or a tree, you put your tent out there, and you can put the light painting or a little bit on your tree. Definitely you can make a beautiful image out of it. So these are three examples why I prefer to Zanskar region to go and shoot, because I get some kind of a water around there where I can make some reflections with the stars and Milky Way. Plus, I get enough water where I can go and in the morning and evening I really can make beautiful shots because it's close to the water and it's very easy access for me, rather than running around for finding the location, or maybe traveling from the hotel and reach this kind of a places. And when you are camping, your tent acts really a nice subject for your pictures. So don't miss that out. So whenever it's possible, use your tent as maybe in the foreground. Just don't shoot the Milky Way with the mountain. Sometimes it doesn't look good. So this kind of a thing is really look nice. And a little dark night or maybe a little moon also gives you, really a good lighting on the snow-clad peaks. It's a full dark night, that Milky Way and the bigger stars, they are glittering so well. So that gives you a lots of reflection on the snow peaks. Same time, if you are shooting with a little moonlight, that also nice before moon completely rises. If moon is completely rising, definitely you'll start losing stars. So a little before rising time or after the moon set, you really can use the moonlight to make sure you have beautiful glittering peaks and with the small stars. That's the situation I would love to shoot star trail. Yes, this is a wildflower. That area is completely known for the wildflowers. So if you're in season, make sure you'll get different kind. If you have a macro lens, you really can use macro lens here, or even you can use your wide angle, go close, and you can make beautiful bokeh and beautiful flowers and colors around there. So these are the small flowers just outside of your tent. So you don't need to run around to figure it out where they are. So if you are finding the right location, you just sit inside the tent and you can shoot them. Yes, if you are a bird lover and wildlife lover, there's no wildlife as such in that way, but yes, there are some wildlife can be a risk, but you find lots of beautiful birds around. You just need to get the eyes. So Shriram was helping in this area to find the birds and everything, and probably I think these pictures are take couple of pictures of birds, and two or three marmot pictures are taken by him only. He took it on my camera, so it's there with me, so I'm using them here to showcase those birds. Yes. So, evening can be a magic. So if you are waiting at one place, this is the place close to on the way to Rangdum. So generally I camp here, and, whenever I'm, even if with the group, I make sure I camp here. So it looks so dull when you see them, setting them. But last 15 minutes of sunset, it makes things so amazing. You can see that on the right hand side, which is like around 5 o'clock, and around 5:36, you can see how it got completely changed from white to the golden sunset. This one is a Coon Peak. When you start traveling towards, you cross the Noon Coon base, where you can see both the peaks really well, and then you start taking a U-turn and you go on the backside. So here you are parallel to the Noon and Coon Peak. So there's the only one peak is visible. So there are other opportunities on the way. You really can figure it out. Some good places, because light pollution is not there, so you are not worrying about where to go and shoot. So you have to have some kind of an open sky, and provided there are no clouds. If you're unlucky, you might get clouds. Otherwise, if there are no clouds, you really can practically put your tents anywhere, because it's a wide open area. Some places you have to climb. So this place we have climbed almost like 200 meters and walked almost like half an hour, 45 minutes to go and pitch the tent, because while during my exploration I visited this place, so I know where to go and put the stands. And you also can it's a little risky to go there and sleep at night, because sometimes this area is known for brown bears. So if you are unlucky, you might encounter them. So far I have seen them for the distance. So I generally when it was during this time, June, July, August, I try to avoid sleeping very far off from my main camp. So I don't do that. So make sure you don't do that kind of adventure when you are traveling this area. If you're in a group, it's good. And if you're alone traveling, make sure your food is not close to your tent. Otherwise, that smells so well, even from kilometers together, they can come and they can harm you, because they are looking for some food and everything from your tent. So make sure at least your food is away from your tent, 200, 300 meters away. Yes, you'll find beautiful animals. So these are the marmots. These are the different marmots than what you see on the Changthang Plateau. So this is also a pika on the left hand side, and that's also different than what you see them on Changthang region. They look little smaller than what you see in Changthang. So this particular circle, sometimes we call it as a circular rainbow, but it's not a circular rainbow. That particular phenomenon is known as a solar halo. And this particular phenomenon, it happens because there are ice crystals are still there in the air, and there is absolutely no clouds in the sky, and the sun rays which reflects on those crystals, and that creates this circular rainbow kind of stuff, which is known as a solar halo. So when you are traveling this area, if the sky is really nice and clean, you must check on the sky also, because sometimes you can see this kind of a phenomena, which is rare. You don't see this kind of a stuff when you are traveling in the plains. Generally you'll find this kind of stuff when you are in the high Himalayas, maybe 3 to 4,000 meter high. So make sure, if you are going through a remote Himalayas, make sure you keep your eye on, up on the sky also. You can see some glaciers around here. So this is a part of a Noonkun range. Probably there is no name to this glacier. So you'll come across with beautiful river, just the Suru River. So you'll find lots of wildflowers around there. So you can use wildflowers in your foreground. You can make really, really nice images around there. And yes, if you are a fan of slow shutter speed, you can use your filters here. And river can be, it really looks nice with this. And most of the time when you are checking, if you are going towards Kargil to Zanskar region, keep an eye on right hand side. You'll find lots of unknown glaciers around. So you can use them, the glaciers look so amazing. When you see them, if you have a telephoto lens, you should, even if you are not taking pictures, you should go, check them very closely. And you can see how huge those, glaciers are. But unfortunately, they are melting now. This yellow on the right hand side, they are not a mustard field. They are just the raw and wild kind of flowers. So you find lots of, flower fields like this. And yes, the Suru River is not that deep. So, you find water is logging everywhere, and you'll find horses around there, which are the nomadic horses. And they make your landscape so beautiful when they are just, roaming around in this thing. Yes. So before you reach to the Rangdum is the monastery which I told you before. So you'll find a couple of houses on the way. That's where people are living. They are living throughout the year. And in winter, this place is full of snow, like 20 feet, 30 feet. So they have a ski to, reach from one place to other place. So generally they make sure during summer months, they have small fields where they grow barley and mustard for themselves. And they start, gathering their winter stock well before winter starts, maybe August to September. That's the time they start, putting up their requirements for winter. So in winter, they are really, really cut off for 4 or 5 months. When it starts snowing, these places are not accessible at all. So before you reach Rangdum, you'll come across with 7, 8 houses. And that's the place. I just don't remember the name of the village because I'm really poor about remembering those names. So, but yes, the people are so nice. You can just stop with them. Yeah, they really help you in terms of, if you want to buy something. Generally, they have a small shop because now tourists are also crossing this place. So otherwise also you can go and chit chat with them. Generally, I make sure if I'm traveling this area, I have a lunch somewhere close to them and have a chai with them. Yes, so this is close to the Rangdum area. So that's what you see during the left hand side shot is an early morning, which is the back side of a noon coon. And if I'm pointing through my pointer on the screen, this is known as a Lama peak, Lama Topi peak, because the shape of that peak is like a Zanskari Lama Topi. So people know this place as a Zanskari, that peak is a Zanskar Lama Topi. And this is the morning shot when reflections on the Suru River water. And right hand side is a evening shot where, sun is setting other side of the Noon Kun range of the mountain. This is what you see. You can see, the glaciers are everywhere. And the river, what you see here, it's a Suru River. One is a morning shot, one is a evening shot. The left hand side is a evening shot when sun was setting down, and the right hand side is a morning shot. So generally I'm travel with my group. So we don't have, it's not like that we are doing some serious photography all the time. So we have all kind of fun always around. So last time when we were around, so, people were just climbing on the bridges and, stopping everywhere. You can find me, just, being on the top of the vehicle where I was planning to shoot something. I don't know, I was shooting it, but I just climbed it to get, different kind of a view. And the road condition is, I'm again same, there are broken bridges and broken roads everywhere. So that's another adventure. So if you are crossing sometime in the summer, late months, you can find waterlogging everywhere. So you have to cross lots of places from, flowing water and everything. So generally I make sure, I camp very much close to the place which I'm planning to shoot at night. So left hand side peak, this is my tent where I was working something on my laptop, because I carry a laptop where I copy every day evening, whatever I shoot the entire day. So my data is safe. And yes, there is a water, and the next couple of hours I can see the Milky Way out there in the sky, because that day we were lucky and sky was really clear. So I can get small reflection of my tent out there. And this is what, I got it at night. You can see there is absolutely no light pollution. This is what the campsite looks like in evening when, I'm traveling with the groups. So we make sure we are camping very much close to the place we are going to shoot. So generally, like, there more not be even, distance more than 100 meters. So it's very easy. Like, you just move out from your tent, take the pictures and go back. Sometime if you are free to put your tent the way you want, where you want, in the close by area, so you can figure it out. You can put your tent close to the water body, and you don't need to move out also if you want to shoot something. This is Rangdum Monastery at evening. So it looks so awesome when, you're in a late season, there's an autumn season. So you'll see a beautiful brown and yellow color everywhere. And the mountain rises, shadow starts rising around 4:30 in that region. And slowly it covers up the monastery. Yes, this is the monk. When we, today's situation, we talk about isolation and everything. This monk is living in this monastery for the last 28 years. And during winter months, you hardly see a soul around because everything is covered under the snow. And he's living this kind of, selected, isolated life for last 28 years. There's a beautiful monastery. The Rangdum Monastery is established like 200 years back. And though this area is still part of the Suru Valley, but they are influenced by the Zanskar Buddhist monasteries. And the monastery also, it's a part of Zanskar Monastery region. This guy, every week or 10 days, he takes the horse, go to the close by places to find his, find and some, the regular stuff for his, his livestock and everything. So this kind of a life he lives. And in the winter, they have to walk on the snow, which is like, 20-30 feet in this region. So they generally have a ski. So they use ski to, slide on the snow and reach places wherever they want to. And you can find a small army checkpost, which is out there. So you have to register yourself before you start, traveling towards Zanskar. So here, this place is still in the Suru Valley. Once you cross this place, you start entering into a Buddhist area, and which becomes Zanskar a little later. These are the wildflowers what you see during the season. So this is the place which I was talking about, where I'm having a lunch and chit chat with the locals. So you'll find lots of, beautiful flowers around. On the way also, towards Zanskar, you'll figure it out, this kind of beautiful flowers everywhere. It's what you need is to stop at the right places and, move around here and there. Definitely, you'll find your shots. This is the, this is a panorama of the landscape close to Penzi. This is what you find if you're in a late season, because the late season, water level is going down, and water is also becoming, lots of places it's like a very steady, which is not moving at all. So that's where you'll get really crystal water and reflection, and you can see, your sand patterns also out there in this river. There are lots of beautiful coves around where you can stop and take pictures. If you are in little early season, you'll find plenty of snow on the road. So the first picture on the left hand side, which is like, just close to the glacier where there's still, lots of snow is around. And this particular hole, what you can see here, it happened because of the wind and sunlight. So if you just walk around, definitely you'll find beautiful patterns around here and there. And the right hand side picture, which I took it last September. where it was like reaching towards the autumn. So the color looks really, really different than what you see in the early season. This is what we do if we are tired. So people don't care. And generally we don't travel much in this area. So we have a plenty of time on the location where you really can go and shoot. So some people also crazy enough, they want to put their glasses on the cap because they think, they might get beautiful dreams and dreams should be clear. This is my lunch spot. This is how we have a lunch when we are traveling with a group. And you find some crazy guy, they want to cover up them really well so they can see through viewfinder really well. This is what you get when you put tent, you reach too close to the glacier. So the left hand side picture is a late evening when sun sets on the other side of the mountain. And the range of mountain range, what you see here, it's a Doda range, and here your peak is a Doda peak, and other side is a Doda, which is a part of Kashmir Valley. So this entire range is a Doda Valley, and this glacier is the second longest glacier in India, which is 22 kilometers. It looks so small, but it's 22 kilometers long from here all the way to going up to the base. So if you want to adventure it, you can do it, but there are lots of crevices. So make sure if you are going out there for any kind of an adventure, you go with the expert. Just don't go alone yourself. It's not easy at all how it looks like. So this is what, I generally make sure I put my tent here so I don't want it to move around. And this is the evening, time before the sunset. I was waiting for clouds get clear, because sometimes it's a dicey situation when you see lots of clouds in the evening and you feel, oh my God, what's going to happen at night? Because if you know what time is, if you have done your homework really well in terms of what time Milky Way is rising and what time it is setting down, you will be able to make really nice pictures. Milky Way is coming all the way on top of the glacier. So let's see a couple of pictures. Oh, before that, this is, how generally I put my tent, and you can see, I don't need to move out. This place is too windy in the evening and it's too cold also. Temperature must be, even in summer months, because of the glacier and ice, temperature must be going -5 kind of thing, even in summer months. So be careful if you're going there. If you're not well prepared, don't adventure out in this area. And yes, I was so fortunate enough to find a doggy. I don't know, there is absolutely no human settlement around. So the doggy came and, it was sat with me. It was there with me for throughout the camping time. It was really a nice time with the doggy. This is how that looks like if where is the Milky Way is going to rise it. So I used a couple of software and planning applications on my laptop as well as on my phone. I'll give you details once we finish this presentation. So if you want to use them, it is really a great tool, and that really helps you to plan even 6 months in advance about your, before you travel in this region. This is my tent. I just moved out on the back, maybe 100 meters back. And this is what I got it because I know Milky Way is going to rise. The tool helped me really well to figure it out, when and where Milky Way will be even during the daytime. So I just need to put my camera at the right place, keep everything in focus. I don't need to struggle at night about focusing and everything. I just take some shots and come back. This area, if I have some extra time, I should start it. This is how it looks like. So generally I make sure, I put 2 extra batteries with my camera. I set up everything. Nobody is out there who can take your camera. So just put your camera out there, have a sequential shooting, finish it off, wake up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whenever you are done. Or if you don't want to wake up, it's still okay. You can collect your cameras in the morning. Yes, in the morning, this is left-hand side, how it looks like in the morning. So you feel those, thin layer of clouds, which was giving awesome color. And on other side of the glacier, on my left-hand side, from the point where I was shooting, there's a little hill out there that gives you like, the more sun rises on the backside of that hill. And this is what color, this kind of colors you'll get it in the morning. So you can find one of my participants is just standing out there. And the panoramic view of the glacier. The left hand side is the river That's a Suru. That's not no, that's the Zanskar River, which is it's flowing towards the Padum side, and right hand side is the glacier. So this is a panoramic view of uh, the glacier and the river, standing top of the hill out there. It's another side of hill where you can that's where the road which is going towards this side, which is going towards the Zanskar Padum side, and the people there are just shooting in the morning. Couple of other shots, we'll go through it. There's a lots of waterfall, not waterfalls, but lots of streams around there. So the stop on the road, you really can use your filters and everything to freeze the movement of the water. That was a lucky day for us. This kind of a sunset was there on the Kun. This is my office. Generally, I make people, jealous, saying that this is my office. That's where I go and work. When I get people along with me, they are really crazy. Some people, they really don't want to do a hard work. They just sleep and shoot. Somebody wants to shoot, looking at the camera, and there was a telephoto lens was attached to it. I don't know what he was thinking, but yes, people were having fun on the trip. Yes, when we are doing a camping, that's my tent on the this one where I generally go and sleep. But rest of the people are using that tent as a subject, and they have a beautiful reflection. People, they're sitting on the camping chair. You have enough time, are easy, relax, and shoot whatever you want to. This is the same place where these people were sitting in the previous place. In the evening, this is place how it looks like. So in evening, when there's a couple of bush and everything around there, so I got a different kind of a compositions for my sunset shot. This is a Kun, this is noon, and this is the place how it looks like during the evening, where you can see some lights and lots of glittering stars around there. This is how we shoot. You sometimes stand in the water, and some lazy people, they never wake up on the time, so they are ready to lose sunrise, and then they crib, oh, I missed it. But whenever you try to wake them up, they don't wake up at all. This is the doggy was out there always with me on the glacier area. This is what is a picnic breakfast. This is like, it was an awesome experience for me when I showed them, like early morning, you can see the pure gold coming on noon and Kun. We have crazy staff traveling with us. Somebody is, made a cooker as a hat, helmet, whatever you call. He was singing so nice. Somebody's already cooking on the back. And this guy was full of energy, was jumping around. Sometime, yes. I do a little show because I wanted to take some reflections and everything. So I just stood up in the freezing cool water out there. Rest of the people were having fun sitting on the chair. They had their own tripods and everything kept close to their chest. And yes, somebody was like, missing office too much. So person was using laptop out there. That's not my laptop, that's for sure. Yes, so this is what you generally, traveled around in Zanskar area. But if you want to reach Zanskar in the winter, how do you do that? So there is a frozen river, there is a frozen highway, and I've done this trek almost. I said before, it says it's 10 times before, and I have seen those days where hardly a soul were walking on the river. There used to be 300, 400 people, not in a day, but on the entire season. So you hardly see, like like few days for a week or so, you don't see anyone who's crossing. Just you and your companions or trekking mates. They are with you and your staff. So let's see a couple of pictures from that old golden days. This is how Chadar looks like. So you can see I was with my group. So a couple of people, they are walking. Some support staff is also walking around. The river is really a semi-frozen. It's so thin, but it's so strong, which can take your weight, like almost 100 plus kg. And you really can see, water is really, flowing so fast. You can see it's so clear. You can see the stone, which was almost like, meter and a half kind of a deep enough. This is what it used to be earlier days when, temperature starts, it's just too much of snowfall on the rivers, temperature starts rising. And definitely, condition on the ice layer on the river starts become, slushy, and sometimes it starts melting, ice starts breaking. So it used to be a really, really good adventure. So you have to be careful. You will be really, really good equipped to travel on this road. And yes, when I see on the right hand side picture, I always remember 26th January, because on that day, we've got we were hit by the avalanche out there on the Chadar trek. When I talk, getting an avalanche on Chadar, most of the people, they laugh because they have no idea even, this place get the avalanche. Because there are lots of snowfall and the temperature starts rising. The wild animals, they walk on the rocks and everything on, when you're walking on the river. On the, both the sides, mountains are really tall. A small stone starts, falling from up. It's end of the day, once it gets down from like 100 200 meters down, it comes along with lots of snow, and the avalanche also comes along with lots of big stones. Was really lucky enough not to get hit by an avalanche, but the friend of mine who got hit, he got lost. It took us almost half an hour to find him. He was there, he was alive, but he was like he already broke his couple of fingers and everything. But he was brave enough to come along with us, and we finished the expedition of 26 days on Chadar. So these are like, it can be risky. It's not so easy. And if you are definitely not well prepared, you end up, risking your life and the life of the people who are traveling along with you. So it used to be like this. We used to put tents, unlike, today's fashion where people are having a fixed camping and everything. So we never did that. So we used to have our camp and all equipments traveling with us. So we had a flexibility to put tents wherever we wanted. If I'm tired, if I think, or maybe it's a nice place to take pictures, we used to stop on, this area wherever we wanted to. So you can see, like, first picture is, after the fresh snowfall, you can see how much snow is, it's around my tent. Second, like after the avalanche, we had no choice because the ice was broken on the river. So we had no choice but to camp somewhere close to the river. So we are almost like, tilted manner. So this is what we have done it. So that night we could not sleep, but yes, we were just sitting throughout the night in, in the sleeping bag to make sure we are not rolling in the river. This is how it looks like. This place is one of the today's famous selfie place where, it's a huge waterfall and people generally go and, take their pictures and everything. So there used to be a, small, very ancient wooden bridge used to be out there. So which is no longer there now. It's replaced with the newer one. He's my, support staff who wanted to walk without the shoes because he did not have an extra pair of shoes, which he wanted to make it wet. He was brave enough to walk with, the barefoot. This is how it looks like, close to the Zangla in the sunset time, it used to be the, point where you were in purely in the Zanskar. So it used to take 7 to 8 days, or maybe sometimes 9 days, 10 days, depends on, ice condition. And for me, Chadar is not all about, walking on the ice, but it's all about, walking in the history, where you go and, visit people, just not walking in the ice. You see and experience their winter lifestyle, what they do, what they eat, how they are surviving in this kind of a cold weather. Just remember, Zanskar is a colder than Leh. So if Leh is, dropping to minus 25, Zanskar must be dropping to minus 30, minus 35, and sometimes temperature can drop to minus 40. And yes, this is the frozen river. It looks like, this way. So you have to walk on the snow to reach to these places. This used to be the Chadar. Tons of snow everywhere. Sometimes you are walking on the river, sometimes walking on the ridge. It used to be like this. So the river is here. You have to climb all the way up because ice is not out there. So you have to climb like, maybe 200 meters up there. You start walking in the snow, reach back in the river and start being on the river again. This is what is happened during, early morning season, because early morning time when, temperature starts rising because sun is out and the water is still cold. You can see, this kind of a smoke all the way on the river. And this surface is completely ice where you can see people are walking around. And if you are lucky and there is no snowfall in this river, definitely when there is no snowfall, river is really, really cold, and you can see the transparent ice also. This is how it looks like. This is a Zangla. The middle picture is from the Zangla. On the way to some trekking, some camping place where there was some civilization was there. So close to, I think, place called maybe Hanumil or something, where only 2 houses were there. And sometimes, yes, you are reaching close to the village, you have to pay the toll like this. So Arun was there on the trip with me, and the kid was there. He was sitting on the slide, and he wanted to get pulled by him. So sometimes the kids are funny; they'll ask you to do that. So if I call, you are paying a toll to them. This is the lifestyle. So kids are they're amazing, and they're so energetic, even the such kind of cold places. They're born, and they're born for this kind of places. You don't feel that, and you are shivering with the cold. They are just happily jumping around in the snow. And these 2 little champions sitting on, one of them is sitting on the donkey. Both of them were sent from house to get the water, and they were so naughty. None of them wanted to take the water, but to teach the donkey really well. So rather than water putting on the donkey, one guy was sitting on it, and they were running around with the donkey, because they were not given horses, because horses are really it's a big enough for them to ride. So they try to ride the donkey and get the training for the horse riding. This is the morning in this area, which most of the people, they don't go and see. And yes, you will come across with yaks like this. So you have to, this is really a strong animal, this in region, in this altitude. So nothing much can be done. You have to wait and give him a respect, he or she. You have to give a respect, and let them clear your way. Once they clear it, you can walk it easily. Otherwise, don't try to go close in during winter months. They can become really, really crazy. So this is if it starts snowing, this used to be the Chadar track earlier days, and this used to be my sleeping bag. I still use this same sleeping bag. Yes. So when we talk about traveling in this region, this is what I carry for my camera case. I make sure I have 2 full frame camera bodies, because why I have 2 cameras, reason is that one, I can have 2 different lenses on 2 different cameras. So I don't need to worry about changing lenses in this kind of a cold weather, because then changing lenses in this kind of a cold weather is really, cold and dusty weather is really not good for your sensor and the lenses. It can damage. So I make sure I have 2 different lenses generally attached with 2 different cameras, and my favorite lenses are 16-35. So that's always there on one of my camera, and another telephoto I generally use 70-200, which is there on other camera. So in this 16 to 200 mm focal length, I can cover up whatever I wanted most of the time. I use 24 mm to shoot that's a prime lens which I use to shoot astro and those things, where 1.4 gives me a really a good wide open aperture where I can reduce the ISO and still can get the better images without getting too much of noise. And I do use filters. That's from the NISI. So I use CPL, GND, and ND filters. ND filters I use to freeze the water movement and those things, or maybe sometime I want to make creative images with clouds, or it's a silky kind of a movement. GND I use when I have a huge light difference between foreground and the background, or maybe vice versa, where I can cut the light using GND filters. I have a travel tripod, which is Mi Photo, which is a carbon one, and it's really lightweight, which can help me travel light on the places where I'm going around here and there if I'm climbing somewhere. So it's really around 1 kg kind of a tripod. But when you're using this kind of a travel tripod, you have to be very careful, because some places like close to the glacier and the open area, the wind is too much in this area. So if you are not putting a counterweight, your camera can easily, fall because of the wind movement. So this is what has happened to me last time. I had a camera fixed on my tripod and I forgot to put a counterweight on it. And just like, in few seconds, I was talking with next person and I realized that my camera was flying away with the wind, and, I broke viewfinder and those things. So be sure when you are using this kind of a tripod, you add the counterweight. Yes, I have a do spare batteries because most of the time you don't get place to charge your batteries. So I have some spare batteries with me, and now I am equipped with a USB charger for those batteries. So I use my power bank to connect with the USB, and I charge this battery overnight whenever it is needed. And I carry a laptop and some backup hard drives. So every evening, once I finish my shoot, I copy them back and I can clean my memory cards. And that's where, I create the backup so I don't lose anything on the trip. Sometime if I'm shooting a wild, I do shoot wildlife, not regularly, but very special occasions such as snow leopards and, some kind of, rare wildlife on high altitude and some birds. I use 400 mm f2.8, and I have a travel telephoto which is 200 600 mm, which is really nice when there is a good light. And telephoto 400 mm I use with, that's a 2.8, so it's really a prime lens and very fast. And I use my teleconverters along with it so I can get the better focal length. So I'll talk about some software which I use for my planning. So I use Google Earth Pro. So Google Earth Pro really helps you to plan your shots offline. So it gives you a 3D image. So when you are, planning your landscape, you really can see virtually, where you can go and how the place looks like. And that's where you really can plan well. So without traveling to Rangoon Glacier, I was knowing that where am I supposed to stand, which can give me, the entire view of the glacier, where I can go and see the S curve and everything on it. And same time, I use software for photo pills, which helps me to plan my sunset, sunrise, and Milky Way shots. Where the software uses the artificial intelligence on it. So that's where I can create the situation at 6 o'clock in the evening, how sun is going to set on that area, being even at noon time. The same time I can see the Milky Way is going to rise at the right time on the glacier with this application. So I don't need to worry about, waking up entire night. I can plan everything, sitting during the lunchtime or maybe the late evening. So I keep everything ready. I can virtually I can see how my shot is going to look like. So I put everything ready. I can focus whatever I want to do it. And I just wait for the right time to, maybe if it is a midnight, I can sleep and, wake up at, so maybe at 12 o'clock, that's the time where Milky Way I can see on the top of the glacier. I wake up at 12 o'clock and, I'm not losing too much of time on planning my shots in the dark night and everything. So it is possible, use Google Earth if you're doing a landscape photography. Google Earth really helps you to understand the location and how it's going to look like, the place. So you can fix your points also where you can, spot your tripods and everything virtually. And photo pills will help you to, find your sunset, sunrise, Milky Way, and other things. Thank you. So now we can, take questions and everything. Sriram?
Cool, Manish. So, guys, what we'll do is there are a few questions on the chat. I will probably first run through those and then I'll kind of unmute for everybody.
Okay.
So just.
Can I have some water?
Yeah. I have a couple of glasses of water.
Thank you. Yes, we are ready to go.
Cool. So Dr. Bhavin asks, did you pitch your tent right at Penzi overlooking Rangrung?
Yes. And always whenever I go there in that area, I go and pitch my tent out there because I know that's the place where, I get some shots of glacier without moving around here and there because that place is too windy. So, in the morning it's also windy and the evening it's windy. So if I'm planning my shots during that time, I really can sit inside the tent and, I don't need to go out in that windy condition. Yes, definitely I go out when I'm shooting, tent as a reference.
Cool. And Arvin Levinson asks, when are the wildflowers best?
That's a June, July is a time where you'll find wildflowers. But there is a season of 10 to 15 days kind of a thing. So every 15 days they grow and every 15 days they go off. So you really have to make sure, when you go, the flowers are around. Sometimes you are lucky, or if you have a local context, you can ask them. So you'll get the correct information.
And Meet Sanchala has a question. What is the difference between glacier and ice-covered mountain?
Glacier is like a frozen river. So basically, it's a pile of ice which is getting frozen, and there, that area is completely frozen throughout the years. And the glacier ice can be like very old kind of thing. So what you see on the Drangdung Glacier, when I visited it for the first time, that place was, glacier was all the way down. Now it is shrinked and went up a little bit. So yeah, so glacier is it's a frozen ice actually. It's a frozen river, you can see, and glacier moves also. So it's not advisable to camp on the glacier.
Lekraj Singh Rathore has a question. What is the evening temperature in the region?
Evening temperature can drop to easily 0. If there's too much of windy and you can add the wind chill, it can be -5 also. I'm talking about summer. Winter can even, -20, -30 easily. And no one can go there because, that place is completely covered under snow and ice.
Sarang Naik has a question. Do you cook your own food and kind of food do you carry?
So if I'm traveling alone my own, yes, I do cook my own. And I have, I am not a big fan of a food, so I'll try to get something. And I'm a vegetarian. So I make sure I have some, food which I can make it quickly. I generally don't agree with the Maggi kind of a food where I don't get any energy. So I try to, buy some cheese, biscuits, and, a couple of things which I can, just pour the water, or maybe a quick kind of a food which, I use a small stove for it, which is like 1 liter kerosene, or it's a multi-fuel stove. So where you can use kerosene, petrol, whatever fuel, and it can last for at least, 10 days for one person. Okay. So my food varieties are not there at all. Sometimes you'll find, even the chickpeas and, jaggery is there, because both of things are, it's really good because I get really good, carbohydrate plus protein out of it. And I have a side effect with chocolate, so I don't use chocolates also. Yes.
Jeet Sheth has a question. How much you have to prepare for very cold nights for astrophotography?
You have to be prepared well enough. If you have to have, it's a windy place. The temperature can drop to -5, -10 at night. So you have to be like, you should have a good thermal pants, not the inner thermal, but, some wind protective kind of a thermal. And you must have a wind stopper wearing on your, bottom and top both. And down jacket is essential for this kind of a trip. Make sure you have a really good warm shoes also, because you are not moving around here and there. When, this kind of a place, if you are not moving, your feet starts getting cold really, really quick. So if you can move around here and bit, it's fine. Otherwise, make sure, you have a very good warm socks and, the boots.
Arpit Kathuria asks, what filters do you generally use?
I already told you that I have, 3 filters set either. I have a CPL where generally I used to cut down the glares and everything. And then I have a GND where that's a soft GND. Generally, I need to cut down the light from the foreground or a background, whichever is strong. And I use an ND10 filter where I want to freeze the cloud movements or a water movement. And all the filters are from Nisi.
Jeet Sheth asks, if you travel a couple of weeks in remote areas, then how do you charge your batteries and laptop?
I have a solar charger with me. That's where, I charge my, I use a solar panel to charge my power bank, and power bank to my USB charger of the batteries. So throughout the day, I charge my power bank through the solar, and the evening, I charge my batteries.
Here's another question. Does Photopills work without internet too?
It works without that, but you have to calibrate your application based on, wherever you are. So once you are there on that location, during the daytime when there is a sun, or maybe a night there is a moon, you have to calibrate it. It's very easy. and it works really nice. You can plan your stuff whenever you are there without internet. You may not be able to access map and everything because map requires data. But otherwise, if you have, access something before you reaching on the location where there is no internet, so you have all the references, which is fresh, and it works really nice.
Arindam Das asks, how does one avoid fogging on the lens in winters?
Winter, you don't find fog because it's a dry, there is no humidity. You may find fog because of your breathing on, maybe on the viewfinder. Or you are rubbing something on your, like a snow is there on the lens, and you are just try to clean something, it may happen. Or it can happen, there's a very huge temperature difference, like you are outside shooting and you immediately go in the tent or something, that there is a temperature difference, you might see that. Otherwise, I have not seen, foggy kind of a thing on a camera lens when I'm shooting.
Utpalendra Deka asks, do you use lens warmers to take care of frost?
Really not. I have never used it actually. It against works against your camera system actually, because there is a huge temperature difference which is not good for electronics. So, and if I'm using whatever I'm using, they are meant to use in that kind of a weather. All of them are properly weather shielded and everything. So I have not seen any kind of issues, and especially with the newer generation of cameras, I never saw that kind of issues.
Gaurav Sikka asks, what's the kind of pre-planning that is required for a place if you're going solo or 2 to 3 people, especially in winters?
It required lots of planning. First of all, you have to figure out where you are going, the weather condition, what kind of a temperature range and everything. If you want to escape for whatever reason, whether then you should have, you should know, which is the closest civilization where you can reach quickly. So these things are essential, but that knowledge will not come that quickly unless and otherwise you are traveling that area very often, or you have a person who is knowledgeable about those areas. So if you are trying to go to such kind of a places your own first time, make sure you are going with someone who is expert in that area.
Rohit Salaria asks, how many days trek, which part of the year, hope no wildlife scare while on a trek?
That depends on the area, man. If you are traveling, if you are doing some kind of a trekking in Zanskar, definitely, there can be bears can be there, the foxes are around, wolf is also there. And, once I was there somewhere in June, July, close to this glacier, and like I was there alone. And even in the early morning, I saw some kind of a scratching kind of a sound. I thought, what's happening? I just zipped down and, there was a fox was just standing outside of my tent. That can happen. But recently when I was there in Zanskar, close to the place called Panikar, generally, I don't sleep in the tent. I go out and sleep, just put my sleeping bag outside and sleep because it's not too cold. And I was advised not to do that because, 2 days before there was a bear which came and, killed a couple of animals. So yeah, you have to be careful. You can't take, anything just like that. You have to listen what locals are saying.
Kaushik Ghalani wants to know, what is your most memorable moment in Zanskar?
Every time, whenever I travel in that area, every moment is memorable moment.
Saurabh Patil, how dangerous is frostbite? How can you avoid it?
Frostbite is dangerous. Sometimes you have to cut that part of your body. So, and generally it happens when, and everybody acts differently. Generally, the people who have traveled with me, they know till -20, I don't use gloves. And if I try to use gloves, I start sweating inside, which is dangerous for your body. So if you are having that kind of a thing, it's, that can, that create frostbite because outside temperature difference is too much. So make sure, you are comfortable, whatever, gloves or whatever clothing you are having. So that's what I'm telling, like, you have to have a right kind of a shoes and gears when you're getting into a cold temperature. And you must learn your body well before, getting into this kind of a serious adventure. So before getting into this kind of adventure, make sure you have a small adventures around here and there. So you know how your body acts in different kind of weather conditions. So for me, it's always like, I learn with mistakes and everything, but I learn over a period of time. So after spending 16 winters in Ladakh, I know how my body behaves. Then how the weather is going to happen. So I am mentally prepared. So, and over a period of time, lots of different experiences. So I'm always well prepared in terms of gears and everything. But I always insist that person should know their body limits.
Prakash Rao Mukkarala asks, typically how long would the trip be ex-Delhi Leh?
It should be around 10 days because you need like, once, if you are flying from Delhi to Leh, then it should be around 10 days because you need 2 days acclimatization, 2 to 3 days in Leh. And the trip, whatever we design in such a way that, you get enough time for acclimatization and everything. If I'm traveling alone, I don't bother because I'm there in the region for like, month and more than a month. So I'm well acclimatized most of the time. But acclimatization is the important thing.
I think a couple of questions related to the temperature and cameras by Meet Mehta and Bala Subramanian. Essentially, how does temperature affect the camera equipment? Are batteries affected? Is there any effect on the shutter?
Generally, I have not seen because I've used in, cameras in temperature like my extreme temperature with the camera was -40. I got a little problem because, it's not because of anything else, but the magnesium alloy gets cold too much. And if you're shooting in that kind of area, the camera gets cooled too much and, suddenly you can find your electronics are not working well. It can happen, but it's not because of the camera, because you are already working with the beyond the limit what they have mentioned. It can happen. And yes, earlier days, the batteries were really functioning around 60 to 70% of the capacity, but the newer batteries, they're always, they're really nice. I've experienced for last 2-3 years. I've never seen, batteries is not giving me a result like that, but it's almost 90% or above. But yeah, I make sure when, I'm not using those batteries, I try to keep close to my body.
Aryan Singh, do you pitch your tent away from the roads in the wilderness or is it close to the roads?
When we talk about wilderness and roads, never go together. But yes, some places where, rough roads, like places like Zanskar, I try to little close to the road. So if any emergency happens, or if I need any help or something, I really can, get the help. And generally on the roads, you don't see anyone, crossing hardly 1 or 2 vehicles in a day. So it's just not disturbing at all. They might stop to, chit chat with you because they might feel that, who the hell, the guy is just, having a camp close to the road on this kind of a place. But I make sure I'm not, camping close to the very, very close to the river, because at night or, in evening time, if something goes wrong on upper mountain side, it starts, maybe rain is pouring or maybe some kind of a, bad weather and it melts too much, water can come anytime. So I make sure, my tents are at the high enough where, I don't get sudden flood and everything.
Arvin Levinson asks, is the Starry Skies workshop offered most years? Is it always in September?
We put it in September because the reason is there's September is a time where you'll find maximum clear weather in this area. There are no rain clouds. Rain is already over, so you'll get maximum chance of finding clear weather at night in this area. Last year when we were doing it, like we were there out for 8 days, and all 8 days we could see the Milky Way.
Sharda Hande asks, what is the best time to travel to Zanskar region from photography point of view?
Anytime, if you are willing to do adventure, you can go in winter because that landscape is completely different. And if you are if you are looking for the wildflowers and everything, and if you are okay with some, rain shower, you should travel in June, July. And if you're looking for autumn colors, you should go a little late. If you want to see snow around, you should go in May or something like that. So every season and every time, it gives you a different kind of perspective and, views.
Chirag Munjani asks, what kind of health challenges you can expect and how do you deal with them?
When you are traveling in the high mountains, you have to make sure, you are physically fit. Not because you really want to do a hard work, but you really want to enjoy the place also. If you're not physically fit, definitely you will not be able, because you are keep struggling with yourself and you will not enjoy the trip. So I advise, there has to be like some kind of a physical activities. At least you start doing it before the trip, maybe 2 or 3 months before. So that's where you have adequate fitness where, you don't feel tired after walking 10 meters or something like that. So if you are well fit and really healthy, then definitely you can enjoy the trip. You don't need to be like a superman to handle those things, but yes, if you are healthy, you can really enjoy the trip.
I think Arindam Das has a very similar question. Do you go through any physical fitness routine before these trips?
Yes, I have a physical fitness routine. Is like part of my just like whatever diet you follow regularly. I wake up at, if because of the lockdown I don't do anything, but when I'm not traveling I wake up at 4:30, quarter to 5. I'm on a bicycle at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I do regularly 40 to 50 kilometers every day, which helps me to really gain my stamina. So I do that religiously 5 days a week. And when I'm traveling in high mountains and everything, the walk is too much, so I'm okay with that.
Jay Gulgulia asks a tip for the newcomers, especially solo travelers.
First of all, I'll say if you really want to be a photo traveler, you have to travel a lot first. So you have to learn lots of techniques related to travel and everything. You have to, learn those things, gain the information in first place. Camera and photography, it's okay because whenever you are traveling, if you are not traveling good, your things are not working well. So if how to travel, so you really should, concentrate on travel kind of a thing, and rest of the thing will just follow.
Arvin Levinson says, I have more trouble with my tripod than camera in cold temperatures. My tripod is frozen, so I can't extend the legs. It's happened with multiple tripods. Is there any solution for this?
Which tripod he is using? Based on that, I can suggest.
Okay. I'll probably open it up for everyone in about a minute's time.
Yeah.
So hold on to your questions, guys. The last 2-3 questions here, and then I'll open up the mute so that all of you can just kind of come up and ask your question. Saurabh Patil, how do you ensure proper alignment of frame while shooting during night?
So that's what I told you. My application helps me, like the photo pills. That helps me to find my Milky Ways and those things well before dark. So generally, I try to set my camera and everything well before it becomes really a dark. So I just once everything is set, I just at night I have to just start my camera, I click and come back. And if I'm not able to do that, I know where I'm focusing. Like when I'm shooting Milky Way kind of a stuff, there is a tent, so I lit the tent. I make sure I focus on the tent, and rest of the things are done. If that is not happening, if I am traveling with the group, I make sure somebody standing out there will try to put the light on his body or a face, and will focus that person, and we'll put everything like 60-70 meters. Generally, after that, it's most of the time is infinity. So that helps a lot. But if you can plan it really in advance, like during the evening time, would be great. You are not missing any sharpness in those
things. And Chandrasekhar asks, have you tried any videos or time lapses?
Yeah, I keep doing it, but I don't post it.
Cool. So I have just allowed you guys to. So what you can do is you can just unmute yourselves and ask questions. Before we go ahead, Dr. Bhavin wants to share one of his achievements. He's put it in chat, but I'll be happy if he can actually speak out and talk about it. Dr. Bhavin, you're there? Okay, whenever he comes online.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Manish, I'm Dr. Bhavin. I'm with the Civil Hospital, BJ Medical College. Sir, fantastic presentation. Really enjoyed. I just wanted to update about the new route we just talked about. The route from Tarsha to Shinkula and to Padum via Purne Kargyak.
Correct.
So in September, sir, I did that route on a motorcycle. I became
the first. That's what I told you. Like it's available through the motorcycle and 2 bridges which were not finished. So probably they should be
Manish,
ready.
listen him out.
Yeah, no, that's fine, sir. So while I was crossing through that, sir, I saw the huge work was going on, and I'm sure I was really hoping by the end of this summer the route would be open, and this route should be open by next year now. So everybody should take this route because it's the most beautiful route that I have ever been into. It's beautiful, it's just amazing to Zanskar.
Yeah, because there were two bridges were remaining, and they were planned to finish it last summer, but somehow it did not happen. So probably they should finish it off this year.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard it, but Dr. Bhavin was actually the first person to do the first person in the world to do the new route on motorcycle. So
That's great.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm the first solo motorcycle rider. People have done this before me in big groups, but I was the first alone rider, all the way from Ahmedabad, went to Zanskar via that route and came back via Leh. So I became the first solo rider to complete that route. So just
Great.
yeah.
that's superb.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else has questions? Just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, my name is Rohit Salaria. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Rohit.
If you are planning for a 10-day trek, what would be the approximate cost or something like that?
So that depends, what kind of a trek you are doing it, which area you are doing it.
I mean, the same which you are explaining just now, the same
No,
one.
that's not a trek area. Basically, when you are talking about chadar is a different thing. When you are, that was a road trip plus trekking. So I used to put, I travel between two locations by vehicle, and then travel around, walk around for the pictures and everything.
Oh.
But definitely there are lots of opportunities where you can, trek around. That depends, what kind of a facilities you are looking for.
Okay. No, I was looking at what the pictures and the people around who traveled with you. So I was thinking about that sort of a trek.
No, that's not a trek. So that's like a, well-prepared vehicle expedition where we have vehicles traveling with us on the location to location. And then once we reach on that location, we camp ourselves and, walk around for the photography and everything.
And that should be next September now somewhere.
Yeah, that should be in September. Yes, next September.
Okay. Then we should join that then.
Yes, definitely. If lockdown is over and you can travel,
Yes.
Even I am eagerly wait to go back to the mountains.
Wow, nice. Thank you so much for all the information.
Rohit, the details of that expedition will be on our website, darter.in.
So okay, thank you so much. We'll check it out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rohit.
Thank you.
So who is next? So let me stop sharing now.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm Dr. Anindya Das, but I'm not a medical professional. I'm basically a scientist.
Okay.
As a part of my hobby and all, I'm traveling and doing photography and learning a lot of things now. But I really want to scale up those things and to make shift the career or the interest from this research to travel and photography and all, and have been very inspiring to see your photographs. I've been following your Instagram profiles like madly, and I've been very inspiring photographs and all. So I've been to those places, not the Zanskar one. I have been to Srinagar, Kargil, and then finally up to Leh. From there, I've been to Somorari Lake, and we have trekked the Somorari Lake. So the entire length we have scaled up. So we planned our things. We had our own tents and all. We were a bunch of some crazy students when we did that. So as you were telling, showing that you were putting your kitchens on the road just behind your cars and all. So we have also done not exactly like this thing, but there was a school in Mulbek, a bit 200 to 300 meters from that monastery, for where we had to tent for the night and all. So as you were planning, my question is that when we're planning these things in Zanskar and in the Chadar region and in most of the places, since you told that you went with you went with those vehicles and all, okay, where your luggages were there and you camped at locations for photography and all, and there were, all those things were there. So how did you manage all those porter stuffs and all? I mean, did you hire it right from the beginning, or you went to the location just like you came back to Kargil, and since you had a day there, so you managed everything from there, or it was pre-planned, or everything was fixed before you started your journey from Delhi?
So when we are talk about my planning for my expedition where clients are coming, and those are things really really well planned. So if I'm talking about my September trip, it's everything is planned right away. So who is going to travel with me, which vehicle is going to come with me, and everything. So whatever trips we are having in wherever, is always pre-planned kind of a thing. So we don't leave anything on the last moment. And all the trips we have our own staff, which is they are working with us for a long time. Some of the staff, they are working with me for last 15 years. So for me, it's like preparation is the like 80% of my work on the trip. So if I'm done proper planning and everything, it becomes so easy for me to handle that stuff with the logistics. And because of my known staff and everything, they know my requirements, and where am I supposed to go and where I generally like to camp and everything. So that makes my life very easy. Because when we are doing Zanskar, typically a Zanskar, and some road trips where there is a kitchen staff, and they are in a different vehicle because they are carrying kitchen and a tent and sleeping bags and rest of our luggage other than your camera equipments. They should know where we are generally taking lunch and everything. They should go early and they should prepare those things when we need it. So they should know the place before, because the photographers are always lazy and late in terms of reaching on the location. So if your people, they don't know anything about your place and everything in well advance, definitely there will be a huge chaos this kind of a trip. So my staff, they know where I'm camping and everything. So we have not seen so far in last 15 years where any kind of a chaos is happened because of this kind of a thing. So preparation is most important part in this kind of a trip, because it's like an expedition. So if you are not well prepared and well managed, things can go really really bad.
But when you do solo,
Uh-huh.
then also you do the same kind of preparation that you have been doing for your groups, and or you keep a window of some instant management things to be done depending upon the time you spend with it.
Yeah, so basically when I do exploration my own, like, if I'm designing a trip, for an example, in Zanskar, so I try to get the person who is, because, because of my own context around this area for a long time, I can figure out who is the right person for my kind of a trip. And people also know what kind of a people, I require for my trip. So I try to get that kind of a, expert on my trip, and, I'm ready to go there.
Okay.
So I make sure at least, I'm well prepared.
Yeah,
When I made a first exploration for Zanskar by road, the person who came along with me, he is a very good friend of mine. He is a driver. He is a guide. We are working together for last 15 years. So I need a person who is really resourceful in that area, because anything can go wrong when you are going alone.
Yes, anything can go wrong.
Yeah. So I don't want to land up in some situation where nothing can be done. You can, if something goes wrong, it can go wrong. But if you can plan it things in well advance, things are easy.
Yeah. I get that. Thanks a lot.
Arindam Das has a question in the chat. Would you be planning a similar session about Northeast, specifically Arunachal Pradesh? In fact, actually, Mirza and I were having a conversation while the presentation was on, and we will shortly be doing a session on the Hornbill Festival in Nagaland for sure. About Arunachal Pradesh, of course, we'll see what we can put together over the next few weeks.
Yes, we are doing lots of other, similar kind of sessions for Himalayas and southern part of India. Maybe it's possible we'll do something for the Gujarat and, other places. Anyone?
I have a question. This is Utpal. So you have
Who's this?
shown some picture of the Milky Way, which usually is shoot towards the southern sky, right?
Correct.
So do you have anything done for the northern sky where you have done, let's say, star trails or some additional stuff that you have done for the northern sky?
Yeah, basically, when I talk about the astrophotography, my part is astrophotography is astro landscape. So I don't do astro kind of a thing. So basically, personally, I like Milky Way than, star trail more, because when I shoot a star trail, it looks a little artificial to me. So I make sure, I'm shooting most of the time Milky Way, but, I have done considerably work towards Star Trail and everything. But generally, I don't post those pictures because personally I don't like it.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that. So do you use some kind of a star tracker to make sure that you have proper exposure for, constant static Milky Way, or do you just have
No,
one
Milky
exposure?
Way, I don't require that because, your shot is not more than 20 seconds. And if you know vaguely rule about, rule 500, you can, get rid of with those small trails and everything on your shot. So, Milky Way shot kind of a thing, generally you don't require star tracker and those things. But if you are doing a star trail and those things, yes, you might need them if you are in a different direction.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Anyone? Shriram sir. Hello.
Well, yeah, I think the question on the chat are kind of done. I don't see any more questions. Anybody? Okay, Ajay Lal has raised his hand.
Yeah.
I missed the earlier part of your talk, but between Zanskar and say the other more common parts of Ladakh, when you go trekking, is the scenery very, very different, or is it very, very similar?
It's a different.
Because whenever people talk of Leh Ladakh, and Zanskar is more remote and more difficult and different. And you have, besides the Chadar trek, you have rafting on the river, which is done by very few people on the Zanskar. But from the trekking point of view, is it very similar or the experience quite different? If you go in the usual months of July, August, September.
When we talk about, there are two different aspects. One is what you're talking about, the river rafting. The rafting which starts from, I'm not talking about what rafting is happening close to the Sangam point, but I'm talking about the real rafting which starts from Padum. That rafting, it's extremely dangerous because some point, if you have done the complete chadar walk, you realize that some points, the rapids can go really, really, very strong. So, and friend of mine, and even I was offered to go and shoot, the rafting part expedition, but I denied because I said, I don't have a time to do that. And a friend of mine went there and they had a really tough time shooting the rafting and everything during the summer months when they were doing the actual rafting. So, rafting cannot be done by everyone. It's very dangerous and risky. And when we talk about the trekking, other people might say it's easy, but for me it's not easy because most of the people, they walk few days and come back. But when you do a full length of chadar, when you are walking almost spending 20 days in that area, you see lots of changes in weather pattern and everything. So that's where starts becoming challenging when you are somewhere close to some places and weather got maybe turned down and ice starts breaking and everything. So it starts becoming challenging when you are spending more days in that area. And when we talk about the summer trekking, Zanskar region, it's close to the Himachal Pradesh and the lower Himalayas. So weather is really likely, it rains. Yes, it rains out there, unlike, inside of, towards the Changthang region, because Changthang is almost like there is no rain. So even if that rains is like, some showering kind of a rain for maybe, 10-15 minutes, half an hour, and it's done. But if you are in Zanskar region, if you are doing some trekking during June, July, August kind of a stuff, when there's a monsoon, it rains really well. So if you are, the terrain is completely different. You will find lots of greenery compared to what you see in other places in Ladakh. So yeah, it's completely different. The experience is different. The landscape is different.
And one more question. There's a trek, I think it's in Northeast, called the Nagagigi trek. Someone was telling me, have you heard of that trek at all? Nagagigi? I think
I have no idea about that place.
Oh, okay, fine. Thank you.
I think Sriram, I think no one is raising hand now.
Okay, so
shall we conclude?
Yeah, we can conclude the session. It's been about 2 hours of the session as well. So thank you so much everyone for joining in today, this evening. It's been a phenomenal session with some phenomenal photographs, and I hope very soon the situation kind of tides over and we should be back to traveling in Zanskar and stuff. So let's look forward to that. So we are actually at Data, we're planning a few more talks like this, like we mentioned a couple of times. So over the next couple of weeks, we should have a whole bunch of talks about different subjects and different places and things. And if you have any suggestions or if you want us to talk about something, just feel free to drop us a note either on Manish's Instagram or my Instagram or
Data Instagram.
page. Yeah. Or just write us an email and we'll take care of that. So.
And I think probably another 2 days time, me and Sriram will be live on Instagram, just chit chat about, our snow leopard expedition. So we'll announce that soon. So you can join us on live session on Instagram also.
Right. So
okay,
Sriram.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sriram.
Bye. Take care and stay safe. Bye.
Thank you so much.